Hello and welcome back. Today I'll be covering the patch notes for the Gamma 0.9.1 update. I've tried to include all of the changes which I thought were worth mentioning, but I apologise if I have missed anything. If you found this video useful, make sure to give it a like and subscribe for future content. I'll be streaming the new update live on Twitch, so come stop by to ask any questions. The zone has had a new makeover, giving it an autumn look to fit the current season. Starting with gameplay changes, and the biggest is probably the new Lab X10, or the Brain Scorcher. Monolith soldiers will now start in the lab before pulling the lever. This means that you'll have 11 minutes to fight through all of them and turn off the machine. To compensate, the average rank of the stalkers guarding has been decreased, meaning they'll have worse gear. I personally think that this will make the Brain Scorcher more challenging, but we'll have to see how it plays out. Stashes have had a big overhaul. From now on, you'll only be able to find toolsets in green stashes. Green stashes are rarer than white ones, but you are guaranteed one every 8 white stashes. White stashes will now have a greater variety of loot, including more ammo parts and a 1 in 100 chance to get gunsmithing tools or drug making kits. When getting a stash location, you'll only get a stash in the location you are in or a connected map, meaning no CNPP stash where you're in Rostock. Lastly, the artifact melter now has a chance to be in the green stash. You now have to disable the miracle machine before going to northern areas. I already do the miracle machine, so this doesn't matter much to me. The Clear Sky quest, The Last Dawn, now gives gunsmithing tools upon completion. The recipe needed to craft the Exo repair kit has now been made drop only. Previously, you could buy it from mechanic traders. The recipe will spawn on Legend and Master Stalkers with a 1% chance. Quests in northern areas have been made more rewarding. Quests where you have to fetch an item with durability now scale the reward linearly with the condition of said item. New dynamic quests have been added to hand over drug making kits and gunsmithing tools, which finally give a use for the spare kits I always have lying around. Sakharov in Yantar will provide 2 new tasks to clear Agroprom Underground and the Miracle Machine of Mutants. Tasks in Rostock have been nerfed quite a bit, with them now being less frequent and less reward for the easy kill mutants in Rostock quest. And lastly, the Freedom task to get a bunch of detectors has been replaced, which is good as it was stupid. Northern areas of the zone have been populated with more stalkers, meaning higher tier stalkers like ISG and Sin will be more common. Mutants like Chimeras, Bloodsuckers, Giants, and Fractures can now spawn in packs, as well as Carlex who will always spawn in packs. There is a new mutant, the Jumper Giant, which is kind of like a Snork Giant hybrid. Sin will also have a small chance to spawn with a rocket launcher, making them now accessible outside of the Freedom Barrier Defense quest. Psi Health and Resistance have had a total rework. When your Psi Health gets low, you will hear your heart beat and your screen will pulse, making it more apparent when you're low on Psi Health. Psi Meds are actually useful now and will provide 20% Psi resistance, which is an amazing change. To balance this, Phantoms have been made faster. I think this is a great change to Psi Health. A Stalker's Armour Hitbox has been separated into 3 sections: the head, the upper body, and the legs. The armour on Stalkers can now be damaged and broken by shooting the same section of the body repeatedly. Once broken, full damage will be applied to the Stalker once hit. Rounds with low AP have had their damage against armor targets increased to simulate a concussive effect, except for buckshot and slugs. A new gun, the XM4, has been added, which I covered in my last video. Next is all the reanimations and new models in this update. Skip to this timestamp to skip the showcase. This patch includes a lot of quality of life changes. Firstly, the extra level transitions mod will shorten the time it takes to go in between garbage and Rostock by moving the transition points closer. Both of Utjan's quality of life and item UI mods have been added, which adds tons of little things to make your life easier. Items will now auto-combine, so you'll no longer have a bunch of single charge items taking up unnecessary carry weight. RF receiver packages can now be cancelled by right-clicking your PDA. You can now add custom waypoints and pins to your map. Parts inside of guns can now be favorited, and old ammo will no longer be shown inside the ammo wheel. I have no clue why this mod is only being added now, but at least it's here. Starting loadout wise, Freedomers, Mercenaries, and Clear Sky can now start with the PX4, USP45 and 5.7. Monolith get the PX4 and PP2000, ISG get the 5.7, and Duty get the PP2000. The TOS 106 has been made more expensive and the APS and PM is cheaper. For ammo, all ammo will have a bit more drop, with subsonic affected more. 45 ACP has had its damage and AP increased, and 45 Hydroshock has been made easier to craft. 12 gauge is more expensive and is harder to craft. Dutchman's Saiga has had its capacity increased to 8, and the Saiga ISG to 12. The endgame 545 rifles have had their recoil reduced. The AK-104 has been replaced by the AK-103, as the 103 can attach a grenade launcher. And lastly, the PP2000 has had its capacity increased to 45, RPM decreased to 600, and its accuracy increased. Now for a few miscellaneous changes. Hit effects have been generally lowered, which is great as I hate the way your screen sways when you get hit. The hideout furniture mod got updated, which adds cool things like gun racks to visibly store your guns. Mutants will drop less meat when skinned, and the debuff for eating raw or low tier food has been increased. High-ranking stalkers will turn off their head torches at night, so they're harder to see. Medical items from Sidorovich will be cheaper, but there is less stock of them. The SVT has actually been removed now, maybe. Ammo parts from disassembling ammo has been increased. The SVU now requires expert tools to repair, bringing it in line with the SVD. The reactor PSU no longer recharges your battery, but all PSUs will have lower power consumption and greater battery storage. Guns can now jam at any condition. It is a slim chance when at high conditions, but I personally think this is a bad change. Last but not least is the fixes. There should be less stutters, hopefully. RF packages should no longer just not be there. Artifacts no longer spawn under the map and will look correct. Stalkers will now prioritize more important tasks like patrolling the base or guarding the entrances instead of sitting around campfires during the day. The starting knife no longer has infinite durability. You will now lose rep for killing friendly or neutral stalkers. AI is more responsive to getting shot. Hitboxes work with melee, so aim for the head. The reshade should no longer affect the UI. The weird shadow lines on the ground are gone. You can now see unmagnified sight reticles with NVGs. Tooltips should no longer get stuck in the workbench. FOV now properly resets if you die while using free zoom. Volume will also properly reset after death. Placeable campfires stay lit after reloading. Your hand will no longer block the flashlight. Which limb takes damage when you are hit is no longer random. And finally, your thorax and head can no longer be one-shotted. So that was all the content which I found interesting in the Gamma 0.9.1 patch. If you found this video useful, make sure to give it a like and subscribe for future content. If you have any questions, come ask me while I'm live on Twitch, link is in the description. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.